Welcome, YouTubers, fellow preppers, and survivalists. I'm just doing a live on the fly. I do them when I'm inspired to do them. So, after the hurricane come through and people's houses and trailers around me got devastated, and they were kind of poking fun at me before the hurricane about, man, why do you live in a bunker? What's wrong with you? But now they're all coming to me asking me, how did you build that bunker? Now, there's many different ways to build a bunker. Many different ways. But this is how I did it. I went down to a buy here, pay here shed place. And they literally will finance it for you. And so I got the shed delivered. I got one with wood walls and a metal roof. Because, my plan at first was, to live in a tiny home. Well, I bought the shed. I had it delivered. I tied it down really good, like they do a trailer. Then I lined the walls with sheet metal, the thickest sheet metal I could find. So I lined the walls almost the entire place. I got a couple little spots that are not. So, because literally, if you're in a bunker and you can't see out or open a spot up to fight out, you have virtually built a coffin. Remember, if something is hard to get into, it's hard to get out of. So I do have my certain spots that I can remove and fight out of. Right? So then I poured a concrete footer all the way around the shed. A really thick, wide concrete footer. Then I went down and I bought a bunch of concrete blocks. I laid the blocks all the way around the bunker. I put rebar down the blocks. Good morning, son of the desert. And then I poured them full of concrete. Now, when I poured the footer, because I have been in combat situations, and not all bunkers have to go underground. I don't know why people think that. I mean, would it be better? Yeah, in some situations. I appreciate you, son of the desert. So after I laid the block, put rebar down it, poured it full of concrete, then I laid a second layer of block all the way around and poured it full of gravel. Now, the reason why I poured it full of gravel is because I don't know the science behind it, but the gravel seems to slow down a lot of incoming in a combat situation. And I built the bunker because, I do have PTSD and I need to be able to feel safe. honestly, I could not live in a traditional home because of all the windows. It's just too hard to defend. So I have no windows, but I'm able to see out. So I bought the shed, buy here, pay here place, poured the concrete footer, laid the first row of blocks. Then I laid the second blocks, poured them full of gravel. Then I got a bunch of sandbags. I filled them full of sand and wrapped the whole place with sandbags. Because obviously, my doorway, I have to be able to come in and out. So I have sandbags where I can come out and fight. And those sandbags, you will be surprised just how much they will stop with incoming. Well, it's also a great build for a hurricane or any natural disaster. And because I did the buy here, pay here shed, it was just $120 a month. I did all the work myself. And it's really not that hard. But, there's many different ways to build a bunker. But for a budget, if you're on a budget and you need to build one in a hurry, buy the shed, tie it down, pour the footer, lay the block, lay another second of block, and then sandbag it. Well, then I put a fence around it with barbed wire across the top, a few feet away. Then I put another fence up, barbed wire around it. Then I put another fence up. I literally have 3 fences you got to go through to get to the bunker. So, and they all have gates that I can lock. And I also have German Shepherds for guard dogs. So, redundancy is the key. So, if someone comes up to my place, my dogs are going to let me know someone is there. Then, if they're going to come in my fence, they're going to have to cut the lock or climb over the fence. There's many ways to breach a fence. You just use your imagination. But they're literally going to have to kill the dogs. And I'm old redneck country boy. And someone harms my dogs, I'm literally going to go John Wick on their ass. And that puts up a barrier. If someone comes inside your locked fence, they have bad intentions. So it's really easy to build a bunker. Like I said, there's many ways to do it. If I was rich, I'd go out and buy one of these high dollar fancy bunkers, but I'm not a wealthy man, not physically. I'm a very wealthy man, as in I have a awesome MAG team, Mutual Assistance Group. I am very highly trained, and I have been in a lot of combat situations, and I know how to hold this place. So really, that to build a cheap, quick bunker, that's how you do it. It's really easy, and it really doesn't cost that much, especially if you do the work yourself. So, now my neighbors, they're wanting me, to build them bunkers because they had these big, nice concrete homes, but they lost their roof. And then they looked over here and they seen, I took no damage whatsoever at all. The roof. That's a good question, son of desert. Thank you. The roof, I lined it with the metal plating just like I did the rest of it. So even if I have a metal roof and the shed is rated for 180-mile-an-hour winds. So even if the roof that it came with got tore off, I still have that metal plating that it's not going anywhere. I have reinforced everything in here. Where they built this shed and put 2x4s up, I put a whole lot more. And they literally nailed it together. I use screws. Screws hold better. So the roof is lined with that thick metal also. And I also had to add all those extra boards to handle that weight. So it's really easy to do. And the size of shed you get, that's up to you. And me and Little Miss Prepper, we live here in a bunker. She is very tolerant. And, she likes to feel safe too. And, living with PTSD, I have learned to make it a strength instead of a weakness. But it's hard for me to get a good night's sleep. I really don't sleep that much at all. But having that fence up, having those dogs out there, having a bunker to live in, it just makes me feel safe. So you build a bunker not just for the zombie apocalypse, but for bad weather. And it's really that simple. Like I said, you can use your imagination. There's many ways to build a bunker, but that's how I did it. And it does not cost that much at all. So literally my home is paid off. We live off grid. We run off solar. And there's something very freeing about that. Now, do I still have bills? Yes, I do. Actually a lot of them. But, most people, they couldn't, a lot of people say, I couldn't live that way. Well, when things get bad and people are literally busting in every window at the same time to come in, they're going to wish they did have a bunker to go retreat to. You can literally just build one in your yard. And when a storm approaches, go bunker inside that thing. Then when it passes, go out and assess the damage. For me, the hardest thing about living off grid is I love a long, hot shower. Well, we don't have that. So that really is the hardest thing for me, because I'm very particular about my hygiene. I like to stay clean. I don't mind going out and getting dirty. It's just, I'm a clean person. I like to stay clean. So the hardest part for me is not having a hot shower. But the rest of it is easy. Okay. When the grid goes down and you live in a regular home, your toilets are not going to flush. I mean, people out here, they were literally getting water from me so they could flush their toilets. Yeah, I tried those solar showers, and I do use them. But literally, I have a video on my playlist that we take a bath in a kiddie pool, and I let little Miss Prepper, because she has hair, use the solar hot, because the ones I have, they only hold 5 gallons of water. So I let her use the solar showers so she can wash her hair and everything. And, when you've been out for days in combat, there's just something about a nice, long, hot shower that's very refreshing. But that is really the one thing I miss, is a long, hot shower. Now, before the came along, I had my own MMA school. And so we took showers there. But they literally made us close, and I still had to pay rent on that place. Well, eventually, that was the longest 14 days I ever seen, because they kept pushing it further out, and eventually, because I wasn't going to charge my students when they couldn't come and train. So eventually I got so far behind on the rent of the MMA school, which was like a dream come true for me, because I love being a sensei and a mentor to people, especially the youth. I love teaching them self-defense, and I would express to them the best way to win a fight is to not get into one. But sometimes it just cannot be avoided. You cannot conquer an irrational person with rationality. It just does not work. So there will be times, that you could be pumping gas or whatever and just randomly get attacked. I mean, you just watch YouTube, you see it happen all the time. That's why, I know we went from a bunker build, and that's what this video was about. I tend to ramble a lot, so that's why I strongly encourage you to carry 2 knives. To carry 2 knives. Black PVC size glued together. You can make them as long as you want or need. There are videos here on YouTube to make those. You can pressurize the system and water pressure for the shower. I have been looking at ways to do it. I've been looking at ways. I know there is ways to do it. And thank you for that information, Son of the Desert. It's just, when I say a long hot shower, I mean a long hot shower. It just relaxes me. And I have so many injuries from the way I live my life that it just helps. And that's literally where I do, I would just sit there at the MMA school. I would literally take a 30-minute long hot shower, and it was so wonderful. So that, and I am going to come up with a way. I'm just trying to find the best way to do it. But, and you would think 6 years of living this way, I would have already done figured it out. But that just hasn't been on my priority list. But the longer I live off grid, I was fine for a long time when the MMA school was open because I could just take my showers there. But since and the government literally made us close, I lost the school. And that hit me hard, because that was like a dream come true for me, is to have my own MMA school and train people. So, I'm trying really hard to save and open up again. But the rent on everything down here is gone absolutely ridiculous. Thank you, Son of the Desert. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much, my brother. So, like for instance, there's a lot of people, because I do have visitors, they'll come over and they're like, hey, bro, I need to use the bathroom. And I'm like, well, go water the tree. And they're like, no, I need to use the bathroom. Well, let me show you. And you need to have one of these anyhow. So when your toilet don't flush and all that. This is my toilet. I know what a glamorous life I live. But I put a garbage bag in there. And this is my toilet. It's no big deal for me and Little Miss Prepper. I have some guests that come over and they're like, oh, man, no, I can't use that. And I'm like, well, if you're so soft that you can't use that, well, I'm sorry for your luck, because that's all we have out here. You can go dig a hole out there behind a tree. I'm just amazed at how domesticated people have become, to where literally you can't use a bathroom in a bucket. Way back when, kings and queens, they literally would use a bucket or some sort of, what people think is a necessity is a luxury. A flushing toilet, to me, that's a luxury. I don't have to have it. Like I said, I really enjoy long hot showers, but the rent on places down here now are just, it's ridiculous. I mean, I literally know people that are working 2 jobs, and because the rent is so high, they are literally having to live at the campground. When if you could find somewhere to put one of these sheds, you have a tiny home. It's $120 a month is what I paid until I paid it off. And, it's our home. We have a bed. I have a little kitchen area. It's our home. Like I said, what people think is a necessity is a luxury. I literally know now where the term come from, don't kick the bucket. So try living off grid the best you can to learn how to do it. If you're homeless and you can find somewhere to put one of these buy here, pay here sheds, you have a home. And just get a bucket. I mean, they literally sell them at Walmart. I mean, I'm so uptown, I even have a seat on it. And I do use garbage bags. That's the way we live. You know, maybe a lot of people say, I can't live that way. Well, I've been in countries where they wish they had the things that we had. You know, we run off solar. I cook outside on wood most of the time because it's free. You know, you just learn to adapt and improvise. And we're happy. You know, I'm blessed to have a good wife. It's very understanding. There's a lot of women that would be like, no way am I living like that. Well, Little Miss Prepper, she doesn't mind it at all. And, you know, with the price of rent, a couple years ago, what was a $400 a month apartment is literally $1,200 a month. So a lot of people just cannot afford to live just inside of an apartment. Now, if they had a family member where they could put up one of them buy here, pay here sheds, it's a home. Somewhere safe, you can lay down, you know, put a bed in there. And my solar is powerful enough to run the air conditioning. Because, man, it is hot down here in Florida. So, I do have an air conditioner. I grew up without one. But, you know, that's a luxury, is having an air conditioner. So, yeah, we have an air conditioner. We have a bed. We have a door we can lock. Central Florida. I'm in Central Florida. And I grew up my whole life in Florida. I like it here. Now, there is a lot of people moving here. You know, that's another, I'm going to make a whole nother video. Yeah, I made it through Ian just fine. Emmanuel, I hope I'm saying that right. I have pronunciation problems. When I was in Afghanistan, I had a heat stroke. So everything else worked fine, but I had to learn how to talk again. But I was still fit for combat. I just literally had to learn how to talk again, but everything else worked fine. Yeah, we got hit hard. Everybody lost a lot out here. But for me, you know, I've been gathering up scrap metal, cutting wood, living off grid. You know, that's how we do it. So we're used to it. I hope you made it through okay, Emmanuel. A lot of people didn't. A lot of people lost their roofs. I mean, we got hit hard here, trees down everywhere. Well, that's good because we got a lot of wind and a lot of rain. That's another thing, too. When you build your bunker, make sure you get it high enough off the ground to where you don't get flooded out. I have mine up on blocks, and I got it tied down good. And so when we get flooded out here, because there's literally a home right down the road that the water came inside his house and destroyed a lot, his walls, everything. And here I am in my little bunker, high and dry, just fine. So, you know, There's many reasons why to build a bunker. One for bad weather, one for the zombie apocalypse, which is literally going to be people losing their minds when they don't have any food. Because this thing is getting worse. The price of everything is just costing more and more. I'm so glad that we produce our own food. We don't have to rely on the system for anything. You know, for me, a luxury, and I hate going to Walmart, is I will go to Walmart and I buy that Sasquatch soap. That's a luxury for me. It's just having good soap, and that is good soap, by the way. I love that Sasquatch soap. But I just wanted to do this. I just do random lives when I'm inspired to do it. And I just want to explain to people. I had a lot of people asking me, hey, man, how do you build that bunker? And, you know, it's really easy. Like I said, there's many ways to do it. But the way I just said it worked out great. Handled the storm fine. We have no damage at all. So, and also, you know, if you're homeless, if you can find someone that'll let you put one of those sheds on their property, problem solved. You have a tiny home. You know, how to live on little or no money. You know, you can virtually get a job anywhere to pay $120 a month for your home when rent is just insane down here in Florida. I mean, it's crazy. Most people can't. I feel so bad for the people that have children and they work and they're good, honest, decent people. And they're literally having to live at the campgrounds because they can't afford rent. It's really sad. So, you know, I said, look, man, try to find a family member that has enough empathy or love in their heart and let you put one of them sheds there. And it's a great start. So I appreciate all y'all being here. And again, I'm going to bring up one thing, a battle belt. It's an EDC belt. This is the best EDC belt I have. I mean, this thing is built right, strong. It's a good one. Now, I'm not getting paid or any of that. I'm just telling you, this is the best EDC belt I know. And all this cutting out here, I wish I had my handsaw that I've been using. I got stuff everywhere. But skill, this right here, I have a larger one. But this right here is a great handsaw. Again, I'm not getting paid by this company or anything. I'm just telling you, I've used multiple handsaws, and this, I have a big one. This is the best handsaw I have ever seen. And I carry it on this belt right here. I've literally hand cut everything out here. No chainsaw. And I always carry a tourniquet, which is made by this company. It's a great tourniquet, great setup, great handsaw. Let's see. Walmart has a 10 by 8 metal shed, 6-foot-inch thick walls for less than $800. Hey, there you go, right there. You know, in a lot of countries, you know, They wish they had that to live in. Hell, I know people here in America right now that wish they're literally having to live in tents at the campground. And you know, when you're used to living a certain way, it's rough. But I've noticed one thing. The children, most of them that are having to live at the campground, they have adapted really well. And they're actually enjoying it. They're fishing, they're enjoying living in the campground. Now some of the parents not so much, because just for some people that's rough living, but for me, hey, I'll live in a tent, not a problem. But lucky I got this bunker. So I appreciate all you. If you could hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate all the donations. And I appreciate you. See, All American Prepper, stay strapped, stay ready, stay dangerous, and have a blessed day.